I spent 5 to 7 years in defence, systems and weapons integration.
So that's missiles.
That's missiles and guns and all that type of stuff. Amazingly, stuff in the transport industry isn't as advanced as everyone might like to think.
Fair warning, we've worked with some suppliers at Utenant who are still running from Excel spreadsheets.
Yes.
So.
And we often get people come to us and just say, can we just AI it? I don't know AI. Like, is he a mate of yours?
Hi everyone, welcome to the Supply Run, your podcast for everything supply chain and logistics. We're joined this week by a very special guest, Adrian from Arcadian Digital. We've known each other for quite a while, Adrian, is that fair to say?
I think it's about 15 years now.
Yep.
I'm trying to show my age.
I think that's about right. So Adrian and I used to work together. Now, before I got to this business where we worked, which was an advertising agency, I heard that Adrian had a reputation for coming in very early and putting on horrible techno music at full noise. Is that accurate?
I did like a good beat. A
good beat.
I still like a good beat.
It's very contradictory to the source that I heard from.
It is a unique taste, but
Okay.
I feel like it's one that sort of suits the development nature.
Okay.
But yeah, some people don't like it, which I found out every day when James came to work.
Yeah. The source was me. I went in a few times and had to go out for breakfast for a while until it was an appropriate time to tell Adrian to turn it off. But I felt bad because he was there early working on my projects. I
was. And I probably did play Avicii levels probably a couple of hundred times more than I should have.
Appreciate it now, I think. I don't know how good it was back then, how good a developer I had. So Adrian was a developer, a junior developer working with us, and then now finds himself running a successful development agency that he owns. And how many staff have you got now?
We've got 20 at the moment.
Okay, 20 staff working out of Melbourne, and going from strength to strength and doing a fair bit of work with supply chain logistics companies at the moment. Is that right?
Yeah. So over the past probably 18 months, 2 years, there's been a pretty big rise in the transport and logistics space. Okay. Where they need help in sort of like different forms of tech integrations and AI. Yeah, it's just been a sort of a growing sort of space at the moment. Awesome.
Well, before we get into that, let's talk a bit more about how you went from lowly web developer to running your own business. How did you start in web development? Because that's not your background, is it? You didn't study any of that at school.
I did software engineering at university, so
Okay.
that was a part of my degree. I minored in electrical engineering as well, so I did a bit of a double degree. I guess like before I jumped into web development, I spent I'd have to check now. I think it's about 5 to 7 years in defence. So I worked at British Aerospace, Saab Systems, and a few other contractors. Doing communication systems, encrypted comm systems, combat management systems, and weapons integration.
So that's missiles.
That's missiles and guns and all that type of stuff. Yeah,
on boats.
On boats and aircraft.
Right.
So yeah, a bit of both, which was kind of cool. So yeah, something different. To web development, very much so.
So how did you get to where you are now? Going from that, was there a decision one day you just thought, nah, I'm not going to do these missile systems anymore? How did you get here?
Well, amazingly, it did move slow. So you have to be very careful when developing those systems.
Yes.
So not that I have a focus for fast moving development, but I started to sort of do more work in the private space, sort of just some like freelance work, building my own sort of projects. It was around the time, just after Facebook had really taken off. There's a lot of other startups that sort of get out into the world, and it felt really approachable. It felt really interesting.
.NET, more open source kind of work going on.
Very much so. Yeah, that's right. Yeah. So because it was so, what's called like prominent, I was doing more work and it was more interesting.
Yep.
And it was faster moving. You saw stuff get to market so much more quicker. You were solving real problems, which was kind of nice, and ones that everyone see, not just, some guy in a room in the bottom of a ship. So that was kind of nice. So yeah, I gradually sort of made the shift, was doing so much freelance work, and then jumped out into the private sector.
Beautiful. So then you started at IE, where we were.
Yes.
IE Digital, which was, sort of a generalist digital agency working on, clients from Nike through to Movember. And then you went out on your own. You started Arcadian. How did that come about, and how's it got to sort of 20 strong now?
Yeah. So obviously at IE back in the day, like in that more sort of generalist sense, and it was great work, like great team that we work with there. The difference was like going from sort of defense where everything was quite complex, there was large distributed systems, a lot of moving parts, to moving towards building a simple website. It was quite a shift in complexity. Not that I found it boring, but it was like less challenging.
Yeah. Okay.
So like trying to do more unique things in my own time was where I sort of found my interest, and then I had clients approaching me like over and over and over again.
Just coming to you directly,
Just
right?
coming to me directly. So the more that sort of built up, I quickly couldn't find time for my day job. So I think I lasted 9 months there before I had a chat to the owner. I was like, mate, like I can't find time to fit this in.
Yeah.
And sort of
your second priority to me now.
My second, it was a bit like that. Yeah, he was obviously great, and the whole team was, but sort of jumped out on my own and started tackling a few more complex projects and that type of thing, which was really interesting.
Nice. And that sort of brings us to now, and as you said, you're doing a little bit of work with some logistics and supply chain companies. Who are you working with out of interest at the moment? Is there anyone you can say?
I could probably mention a few.
Yeah.
Where we've probably got a good 8 to 10, but I mean, a couple of key ones everyone's probably heard of is we do a lot of work with Bowen's Timber and Hardware. They're sort of a large hardware company here in Victoria, but they also have a huge logistics aspect to their business.
More on the sort of product owner end of things.
More on the product owner side of things, that's right, yeah. And then we do a lot with -1, like chilled transport provider. And then we also do a lot with Markship as well. At the moment, we're starting to do a bit more sort of engagement with them as well.
Yeah,
so
great.
yeah, quite a few.
So you've got a full spread there. You've got Bowen's Timber, more the product, the retail customer facing. Then you've got Bill and the guys at -1, massive, frozen logistics company.
Huge, yeah.
And then Markship, which is more of a SaaS, I suppose, execution.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah. Like obviously Markship's a leader in their space. So a lot of the other people that we work with are the true transport logistics providers.
Yeah.
But it's kind of sort of evolving quite rapidly at the moment. We seem to be bringing on one every couple of months. So
nice.
Yeah, it's good.
Can you give us some examples of some of the projects you're working on with those guys?
I can probably do a bit of a cross section. So even the ones that I haven't mentioned, they all experience similar problems.
Yeah.
Most of the stuff that's sort of popping up is like operational or sort of on the administration side of things, which is a bit more time consuming. So that seems to be the initial one that we start talking about.
Yeah.
So even things like trying to get a POD out the door, like amazingly stuff in the transport industry isn't as advanced as everyone might like to think.
I can believe that.
Yeah. So even something...
Fair warning, we've worked with some suppliers at U-Tenant who are still running from Excel spreadsheets.
Yes,
so
we have, yeah.
I'm sure you've seen that.
Yes, no, most definitely. So a lot of it's like, if an email comes in, something simple and direct, like some email comes in asking for a POD, instead of like the person physically going and finding a proof of delivery, we can get an AI agent to sort of manage that whole end-to-end process.
Proof of delivery. I'm glad you said that there for the layman's watching who may not know what POD is.
Yes,
I'm sure,
we do make everything an acronym these days.
That's fine.
Yeah,
that's okay.
So something like that. I mean, it might sound silly, but some companies spend a couple of $100,000 getting someone to just reply to POD emails.
Yeah.
So things like that, right through to picking and packing and streamlining the picking and packing process, making sure that everything is ready in the dispatch area as the truck arrives.
Sure.
The trucks that sort of come in, ensuring that they're loaded at maximum capacity. So all of the spaces that are on the trucks, ensuring that they're all full. And various sort of other things down to route optimization, which I'm sure everyone knows AI is pretty good at.
Yeah, okay. And when they come to you, do they know what the problem is, or are they coming to you saying, hey, we've got an issue here, we're not sure what to do? How does that generally come about?
It's a bit of both. So we get a few that are quite tech savvy, or they might have seen a similar problem in another industry.
Yeah.
And then they sort of say, we've got this problem. We're aware that, AI or automation can help us here, but they can't quite articulate what that solution might be. And we obviously help. And then there's others that sort of come to us and they'll sort of say, we have a big business and we feel like we've got some wastage. We can't quite figure out where it is. And we'll go through a discovery consultancy piece to help them sort of surface those things.
Makes sense. And I feel like that's probably a good point to talk about specifically what Arcadian does, because obviously there's a lot of these solutions in this industry, logistics and supply chain. It's an industry that loves a new product, a new piece of tech. And I think there's a lot of stuff you can get off the shelf or as a subscription, a SaaS software online that will do 80% of what you want, but there's always limitations. And I say that's probably where you fit, right? Because you guys are a custom, web development agency working largely with B2B style products. Is that fair?
Yeah, correct. Yeah.
So it's something that they can, really spec, the client can spec themselves and build into what they want to work specifically with their setup.
Yes.
Internally. One of the things I always worry about, and we're finding this with a project that we're working on, as you know, at the moment, is those custom platforms can often become monstrous in complexity and their connections and upkeep and maintenance. How do you address a problem like that, or how do you talk about that with a client when they're coming to you, and do you raise that early and say, hey, look, maybe we don't go full custom here, we can use a bit and piece, or how does that discussion flesh out?
Yeah. We always, I mean, everyone says this, don't reinvent the wheel, and we sort of take that advice as well. And I guess a lot of the things that we are building is like a middleware custom control piece.
Okay.
So instead of, sort of creating a new transport management system or warehouse management system or whatever other system that we're integrating in with, even if it's just like an ERP system, we generally look at bringing all the data into one place and then doing stuff with it, whatever that stuff might be.
Yeah, cool.
So it means that we're not reinventing the wheel. Instead of having some huge, unwieldy custom application that you have to maintain, you kind of use the best of what's out there and sort of like fill in the blanks.
Yeah.
And I'm sure you've seen this. There's like TMSs out there that promise the world that don't do everything. They do one thing amazingly, but then they've got 45 bolt-ons that don't really work. And then you've got other applications that do one thing amazingly, but they're also partly your transport management system as well. So we kind of use the best of what's out there and then bring in and fill in the gaps and sort of use that as like a control piece to automate the other applications.
You're right. There are so many different facets of software for a supply chain logistics company. You've got your WMS for the warehouse side of things, your TMS for transport, ERP systems connecting to websites, going right down to granular physical level sensors and fleet management and cold zone sensors and all that kind of stuff. There's so much. Have you had many customers come to you and ask for something custom, and have you had to say to them, hang on, that exists? Maybe don't build this?
Yeah, well, I'd probably say maybe 50% that is the case. Like generally that like a connector is largely needed, otherwise you're using sort of a subpar product. But yeah, we often sort of like push people down the route of buying something off the shelf.
And then you just connect it in.
And we connect it in, yeah. There's no point in paying, a couple of $100,000 to build something that's off the shelf for a couple of $100 a month.
Sure. And then along those lines of, TMS, accounting, CRM, that kind of stuff, what integration challenges do you see the most with those?
The challenge is like a lot of the TMSs are somewhat dated. Obviously, there's new ones out there as well. But
name names for me, Adrian.
I feel like I'm going to struggle to name names because we're working with them and they're probably going to watch this.
Okay. Are there ones that you like? That you love?
There's one called Ignition, which I actually don't mind.
Okay.
And I'm happy with that one. I don't want to go too far into
the rest of them. Not mentioning.
They're good and bad. Like they have like good aspects to them which work really well. So it might work well with like the whoever's sort of like loading it or like contracting deliveries and that kind of stuff. But when you're trying to do something else with it, it has gaps. So there's good and bad aspects of it. But the challenges that always happen is you've got disparate data. You've kind of got a bit from the TMS that you need and a bit from the WMS that you need, but you've got a CRM that has your client information on there and you need to connect your client information to their PODs, but the TMS doesn't do that, but you need to know how many things they've booked or if they've stopped booking or that type of stuff to follow them up. So the disparate data is the biggest problem, but it's just trying to like connect that together. And I mean, that's where sort of like AI has been very helpful and make this more possible because it can play with that disparate data.
So you're telling me that Excel is not the most powerful tool in logistics?
It's not great, but it's still around a lot.
It is. I mean, I'm sure you work with it a fair bit, but it sounds like a large amount of what you're doing with these businesses is data aggregation and creating that central data point. Is that right?
It definitely is data aggregation.
Okay.
A lot of the ones that we work with are still running off CSVs and Excel spreadsheets and that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
And we're bringing it into like a centralized repository. Okay. And it's very common. I would probably not all, but I'd say nearly everyone is still running off some form of Excel or CSV for something. Right.
And is that pushing it more towards a CRM style system when you've got all that data aggregated there, just working with the WMS and the TMS, or is it more just full custom portal?
Yeah, it is a full custom portal, but it does work with the CRM and the TMS. So a lot of the stuff that we're doing, it's not the source of truth. It's kind of like the engine or the controlling guy. Like picture the octopus, like plugging stuff into the wall.
From different data pools.
From different data pools, yeah. So your CRM, like where you manage all your customer data, still keep that in your CRM. Still keep your all your like con notes and manifests and et cetera, elsewhere. But then have something that connects everything. That's how we've been sort of building them together, so we don't sort of like double up on development.
Okay.
Yeah.
what's the worst or hardest or most curly problem you've been asked to solve for a logistics company?
I'd probably say there's dated TMSs out there that have no integration, like as in there's no API, like a way to actually talk to the system. So an application programming interface. I probably butchered that.
That's fine.
Acronym.
That's close enough.
There's no way to export data. There's no way to connect to it. It's running on a closed system. Like just there's some dated legacy apps that you purely cannot connect to.
Okay. And what's the recommendation there? Obviously, we need to sunset this, please, if we can.
Yeah. So the recommendation with that is like we have found ways to build custom services that connect to the database essentially, or the part that's running it, and then build out things which extract data on a regular basis and then manipulate it and then put it into like a 2026 product.
Okay.
Yeah, which is how we've sort of worked through that.
Adrian, let's talk about AI. It's hard to have a discussion about software and development in this space in 2026 without doing that. I want to talk about hope versus reality. A lot of people think, AI is at the point now where you just say, here's my problem, I want to solve it with AI, and someone can build that. Is that the way it works, or is it not quite? Oh,
yeah,
it is?
Obviously not. Obviously not. That's not the way it works. Yeah, I mean, we often get people come to us and just say, "Can we just AI it?" And I give them a chance. I'm like, what do you mean by just AI? And it's like, just give it to AI. And I was like, I don't know AI. Like, is he a mate of yours? Like, it's hard to sort of figure out how that sort of fits into the
someone
mix.
has to make that AI.
Someone has to make the AI. You need to have a lot of there's a lot of moving parts with it. So you can use AI to solve a lot of problems, but if you look at even just booking a consignment or loading a truck or something like that, there's multiple steps that go along the process. So you can use AI to solve parts of the problem along the way. We generally still do have a manual intervention along the way to make sure that those checks and balances. The last thing you want is an empty truck to go out, or half full truck, or something that's like a heavy item being placed on top of a fragile item and damaged goods, that type of thing. So it can solve problems. So you need to look at things in isolation. So yes, it can fix things, but you just need to figure out how it fits in along the way. And then the biggest thing that we run up against is data issues. So you can, even if you look at how do I load a truck, and say you have blocks of ice, and then you have, I don't know, frozen peas or something like that. You can't put a block of ice on top of frozen peas because it'll crush it. So if you're looking at how to load that, how did you load a truck in the past with blocks of ice and frozen peas? And if you don't have the data to tell AI how to load a truck like that, how is it meant to know? Like, it can make a good guess, obviously.
Yeah, it's not practical.
It's not practical.
Okay. So given that, and you're looking at logistics operations, what are the easiest automation wins? What are the quickest wins with AI?
The easiest automations are comms and administration to some form of thing. So low hanging fruit is generally where we start is the comms and automation. So even if something, like a simple one, this isn't a thing with our client, but just for argument's sake, emails come in, or a ticket comes in, or some form of communication comes in from a customer, and they can say how long until a delivery gets delivered, and the person on the other end, so like if you had a customer support person, they would have to go look up where the truck is, check the GPS, find out where they are, do a bit of route optimization to try and figure out how long it's going to be till they get to their delivery location, and then a bit of a guesstimate to see how long it's going to sort of take to unload based on the load size. But if you had AI with that, we've been doing a lot of watching communications, and then that AI can take that input that comes in asking how long until it gets to the delivery location. It can go find the consignment note, find the truck that it's on, do a mapping lookup to find out the time till it gets there, do a calculation to figure out how long it's going to take to unload based on load size, and come back, reply to a draft email. So you've got a customer support agent sitting there coming in, just vetting the email, going send, vet, send, vet, send. And you've got 10, 20 times the output immediately.
Beautiful. So it's just an agent working for them in the background, speeding up their output.
Yeah, it's like an AI PA pretty much. Yeah. So that's one of the biggest ones. We do get into more complex ones about sort of like the warehousing side of things, making sure that you load trucks more efficiently. So like if you picture you've got 5 bays at a DC, and you've got the trucks coming in at different times. If you've got someone driving around on a forklift, preparing everything to load the next truck, if they know how many pallets that they've got to pick and bring to the dispatch area before they load it onto the truck, and they know the truck's 30 minutes away, then they can make sure that they get those ones ready as the truck comes back and everything's ready, and then they load it and off you go again, reducing that downtime, and they make sure it's a bit of a Tetris with trucks and pallets.
Yes, I can imagine. Okay, so what shouldn't be automated yet? What are the things that you look at and say, we definitely shouldn't use AI for that yet?
Yeah, I think taking the human element out of a lot of these things is probably still a little while away. Yeah. I mean, the thing is with like even if you look at sales for transport, like the brokers that call you day in, day out trying to sell you something, like that's obviously like a bit of a burden, and you don't want an AI person doing that. Like it's hard enough to get like, you know, a real person doing that.
I feel like no one answers their phone anyway now, right?
It's a real struggle.
Random number calls you, and that's just because of normal salespeople. Imagine if it was robots doing that.
It'd be even lower. Yeah, that's right. Yeah, so anything where like there's that human interaction, that sort of a thing that which I still think's a few years off before it starts being widely accepted.
Yeah.
So that's probably one of the biggest ones. But then I'd probably just say overall, using AI without human checkpoints is probably one of the biggest ones. So, you know, even if you've got sort of things being transported before it gets signed off, after it's loaded, there should still be a human involved. Like if there's sequencing for picking pallets to be able to put them in the dispatch area before they're loaded, the guy on the forklift should still vet things that come through. It's like a crutch. It will get you sort of 80% of the way there, but you still need a bit of human interaction to get you over the line.
I like that. That's fair. Thinking broadly from, you know, big software projects and selling them into different companies. So I know there can be a lot of sticker shock sometimes. I've seen this with clients before, and even with projects I've worked on, where we would come to you with an idea and a project to be done. We think, right, this won't be too hard. But then it turns out there's a lot of moving parts. There's a lot of things that need to be done. There's a lot of data that needs to be changed to a different format first. How do you have those conversations with executives at these companies, and what kind of questions should they be asking before committing to a big project like this and starting it to avoid that?
Yeah. I mean, the obvious ones are ROI, and I hate to sound like every other person out there, but if you're going to build something like, and you can't see a measurable return on your investment, like I probably wouldn't do it. So whenever we start working with clients, we generally fix a problem. So they'll come to us initially and say, I've got 7 things that I want to fix, and I'm like, that's wonderful, but let's fix one and get it out the door and into production before we start looking at the other ones. So if you fix one of those problems and get it you know, in market, people are using it, they're saving time, people have got more free time to do other things, it's a lot more palatable to grow the application. So once you're saving, you know, 30, 40, 50K a month, like on optimizations, spending another like, you know, 30, 40, 50K, whatever it might be for your next iteration is very easy because you've already saved it over here. And then it's just an ever evolving sort of process.
So being able to demonstrate that ROI helps you sell it in more.
100%. Doing everything at once never works.
Yeah. Okay. That's fair. What's the one question they never ask you, but absolutely should?
I'd probably say like potentially what does finished look like?
Yeah, okay.
So the way that AI is moving is a year ago models existed that couldn't solve problems that they existed today. And it's getting even faster where models that exist today couldn't solve things in December.
Yeah, okay.
So that's a month ago, like, you know, 6-8 weeks ago, whatever it might be. So when they say like what they should ask like what does finished look like, and it won't be finished.
Yeah, that's the answer to that.
It really is. Yeah. So like, I mean, they understand the evolution and they need to keep sort of evolving it, and you do keep getting wins. So like there's never sort of an end game.
It's not a set and forget, this kind of stuff. It's not a set and forget. It's constantly evolve. Yeah.
You need constant updates, you know, new models that you try out. You can, you know, if you had 10 things in your workflow that we solved 8 of them, a new model comes out or a new piece of like functionality or tech on the market that you can now solve the 9th. So you can evolve it and get more and more wins over time. I think a misconception is you build it once and you don't have to touch it again.
Yeah, I think that's fair.
That's probably the biggest thing that sort of comes up over time.
Okay. Yeah. that sort of goes back to that, custom piece becoming a monster thing that we talked about earlier. There's always, it doesn't matter how neat and tidy your custom project is and how suitable it is for your business. Once it's done, there's ongoing.
There's still work to do.
It needs to be updated to fit with modern tech, modern browsers, whatever it's being used. Data points change, protocols change, things break over time. And I suppose it's sort of like a house, right? That you always use that analogy when you're quoting.
That analogy.
You love that analogy?
I love that analogy.
I think it works well. And Adrian and I both had this previously where someone would say to you, how much would this website cost? Before even telling you about what it does. And that's akin to asking a builder, how much does a house cost?
Yes.
He'll say to you, well, how many rooms does it have?
What taps do you want?
Yeah. How am I finishing this thing?
Yeah.
It's the same with your site. If you wouldn't just build a house and then expect it to last 100 years without touching it.
No, definitely not.
It requires constant evolution and care and cleaning and maintenance. So
yeah, I will add to that. I mean, like AI coming along, things that we used to charge like $1 million for, like not like or might cost you $1 million over a few years.
Yeah.
You can build now for a couple of $100,000.
Yeah.
So
so it has made that burden a bit easier.
Yeah, they always say they got this like the thing of the rise of personal software or the rise of like custom business software.
Yeah.
And just purely because AI can write stuff so much faster, even the updates that used to take days to do can now be done in like hours. AI does take a lot of the maintenance burden out of it, and it makes it more palatable. Sort of getting sort of things at 30% of the cost of what they were 5 years ago, make it way more approachable for almost everyone that we're working with.
Okay, cool. Looking ahead. So if you were to think sort of 3 to 5 years out, which I know, as you've just said, is quite difficult with AI the way it is, what technologies do you think will have the biggest impact on logistics and supply chain?
Yeah, I think without getting into robots running your warehouse, like sort of just looking at...
That started to happen.
Yeah, I won't end up down that path. But if you look at sort of what we've got now and what I can comfortably see in market in 5 years, I think having a control application for your business and like... we're talking about logistics obviously now, but I think this is everywhere. Having something that connects all your systems together and automates all that administrative tasks, gives you visibility of the business, visibility of your trucks, gives you KPIs to work to. Even like how long does it take to get an entire truck's load to the dispatch area? Like how long after the truck is loaded does it take for the driver to jump in and head off? Like how long is the driver waiting at the location before it gets delivered? Like these types of things, like opening up visibility. Having an application that runs all that for you
from one spot,
I think is going to be extraordinarily popular in the next 5 years, purely based on the money that you'll make and save out of it.
Yeah, and are you starting to see people move towards those more holistic,
the early
through
adopters
business systems at the moment? Yeah, okay.
The early adopters are coming through now, so they're coming through trying to figure out how AI fits into their business, and we're solving bite-sized chunks along the way with this sort of AI portal is what we're terming it, but it's basically a bunch of AI agents that do multiple things really well in isolation. So knocks off 4 hours a week here or 8 hours a week here, and it just adds up over time.
Builds up your ROI.
Yeah.
What will still be broken in this industry in 5 years from a tech and digital standpoint?
I would love to say that all the legacy software will be gone, but it won't. Like I feel like the challenges of connecting things that don't want to be connected will still be there.
Okay. Can I add one?
Sure.
Handwriting.
Handwriting's not great.
Handwritten con notes and stuff. Like I'm sure these companies are still dealing with them.
There are still some out there. I have noticed more transitioning to digital.
Okay, good.
Or using AI to read digital or read handwriting. And then sort of like not OCR it, but recognize it and deal with it.
Reconciliation, that kind of stuff.
That's happening more and more these days.
We do a little bit of that with our partners at Logidocs. We'll have them on here soon, I promise. Okay, cool. All right, but that's so then if a logistics business, if they came to you today and said, I've got enough money to invest in one project, what would be your first biggest recommendation?
Yeah.
This central repository?
Yeah, I know it keeps falling back to that, but I would say to start there, but like what's the first piece of functionality that they would do?
Yeah.
It depends on the business. the way that we're kind of looking at during our discovery sessions is looking at the time allocation that the business has across the board, whether it be to like I said, like administration, finance, like even just like reconciling like freight invoices against what they should be charged, like rate cards, that type of stuff.
Yeah.
Looking at even the operation side of things, like warehouse management, it could be anything, but they all have their own challenges, and just trying to figure out where's the one that has the biggest bang for buck that we can sort of help with.
Okay.
So like analyzing yourself about where you spend your time, where you spend your effort, where your biggest cost is probably the place to start. Because what we found is if you do get a good win on your like first implementation, staff love it because they got a lot more time. The powers that be, or the executive stakeholders, the owners, they love it because they've saved a lot of money.
Yeah.
And it's a good public visibility all round for the company.
Okay. Nice one. All right. Well, it's now time for something we do a bit of a regular segment. It's a warehousing and supply chain quiz.
I'm not going to do great at this, to be upfront with you.
All right. Adrian, are you ready for some supply chain quiz?
Let's do it. Let's see how bad
No pressure on this. I know you're a digital guy. Okay. You're a developer at heart. You still on the tools?
I like to dabble.
Okay. So you're supposed to be running a business, still developing. This is Adrian Randall's go at the supply chain quiz. Are you ready?
Let's do it.
Okay. Warehouse workers know that the acronym LIFO stands for which inventory control method? LIFO.
I actually know this one.
You know this?
Last in, first out.
Mate, this is it's easy.
This is going all right. 1 for 1.
Okay.
Let's do it.
Adrian, question number 2. We all know what SKU means in regards to products.
Yes.
What does SKU stand for?
I think it's stock keeping unit.
Mate, I don't know. Close the computer because I want you to stop Googling answers. Okay? This isn't fair to the viewers or anyone listening.
I did do a lot of econ before this, and last in, first out's also a tech term. So none of this has a logistics background.
Okay, we're going to get a little bit harder now. What global shipping power, founded in San Francisco in the late 60s and headquartered in Bonn, Germany, got its 3-letter name from the last names of its trio of founders? Big one. It's a big one. It's real big.
Can I have a hint? Does it start with K?
No, it starts with D.
I've got nothing. I can't even make up a name for that.
We've stumped him. DHL.
Oh.
Don't know what the founders' names were, but also didn't know that it was headquartered in Germany. I thought it was
American.
Yeah.
Definitely thought it was American.
It was founded in San Francisco, but there you go. Okay. There is a particular type of storage where you can import certain goods duty-free, but you must have a certain type of storage to be able to store them. What type of storage is that?
I think I saw this on Billions.
What?
Is this where he stored artwork?
No.
A somewhere where he didn't have to pay tax?
I mean, I think it's adjacent. It's adjacent to this, but no, this is called bonded warehousing.
I reckon it was bonded warehousing.
Okay, there you go. You reckon that's what it was in Billions?
Axe from Cap. Axe Cap. Yeah, they did it.
There you go.
I didn't know, though.
What term is given to a type of product distribution in which manufacturers ship products directly to consumers on behalf of retailers?
I think this is drop shipping.
Correct.
Because I feel like it's popped up on every TikTok get-rich channel on the planet.
That's big.
It is.
I think we should be doing that. Maybe we should do an episode on how to be a drop shipper.
I would be definitely interested in that. A few extra bucks as a side hustle.
Okay, good. Let's do it. This is a hard one. I'm going to ask everyone this. This is going to be my go-to question.
You like this one?
All right. If you don't offload your cargo within the specified time limit you agreed to, what's the D word for the fee you'll be charged by the shipping line? It's a word that starts with D.
Does it end with damages?
It's close. I mean, it's got edge in it.
I have no idea.
This is an OG shipping term.
I don't think I've been around the industry long enough.
I wouldn't expect you to know that. I think our other guests will know that, but the answer to that is demurrage.
Definitely wouldn't guess that. I don't think I've actually heard of that word.
I feel like giving you half a point because you said damage.
I got some letters.
Yeah, I mean, you got all the letters,
like a partial
just in the wrong
order.
Yeah, Well, that was very good. Well, Adrian, thank you very much for coming on today.
Thanks for having me.
If you need to get in touch with Adrian about building any custom B2B applications, central data repositories, integrations, websites, marketing tools, the lot, you can get in touch with him, Adrian at arcadiandigital.com.au. Check out their website. There's plenty of case studies on there, and they're a good follow as well in regards to news and tech and various bits and pieces. We'll be back soon. We plan to do a number of these throughout the year. I thought it was a good one to start with, sort of tech and AI in the industry, because it is such a big thing for us at the moment. Excellent. Beautiful, mate. Thanks for coming in.
Thanks, mate.
Appreciate it. See you next time, guys. Well, that's it for this episode, guys. Thank you so much for joining us. Huge thanks to Adrian from Arcadian Digital for joining us. If you want to get in touch with him, you can reach him on Adrian at arcadiandigital.com.au. In the meantime, if you or anyone you know is looking for a 3PL, warehousing space, or anything in the logistics industry, you can find us at utenant.com.au. We'll be happy to help. Make sure you subscribe. We've got some great content coming up soon. And that's it for this run. We'll see you on the next one. Bye for now.